Some careers are built on ambition, some are built on money, and some are built on integrity. Today on the OverArch podcast, I sit down with Dr. Oly Eichstadt, a dentist who spent decades putting patients before profit, a man who knew in grade 10 exactly where he was headed, with the help from some amazing parents. This is a conversation about work, ethics, and what it really means to be truly dedicated to a path. Here he is, Dr. Oly Eichstadt.
You are listening to OverArch.
Oly, thanks for spending the time with me today on this little adventure called the OverArch podcast. This is probably episode 6, 7, or 8. I'm not sure yet. So what I've been doing is I've been banking conversations. So what I do at the beginning of every sort of podcast is give people an idea what we're going to speak about. So what OverArch is, it's a conversation about your career and your life decisions and sort of where you start and where you are today. I kind of break it into 3 acts if we can, but what I'm curious to hear from you today at the very beginning is, where are you in your life right now? Because you've had a very long, illustrious career. Let's take it where you are today, and then we'll kind of peel backwards a little bit there. So tell me, what's in your life today, Oly?
Yeah, I am immensely enjoying my retirement, and people ask me, how are you doing? And I say, way better than I deserve. And then you go, well, what do you mean? Well, I go backcountry skiing with my son. I've played squash. I've got grandkids around. I have got time to do things when I want to do things. And the time pressure is gone. So it becomes really a wonderful thing to do.
Let's start with, now that you're retired, what was your career profession before you retired? So what was your title pre-retirement?
I've got a dental degree from the University of British Columbia, and I practiced for 42 years. 10 in Prince George, and the rest of the time here in Chilliwack. And that really was who I was and represented me a lot. And it was difficult. It was also extremely challenging. Glad I had the career. If I were to do it again, I'm not sure, though. It's too much work.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's interesting. So 42 years.
Yeah.
That's quite a focus. That's quite a decision to make early on in life. So we're going to come back to this part of your career, because how you work with your patients and whatnot, because that's definitely a passion. But when you're younger, you have that energy to really go for it. I mean, looking back, I agree. It's like, I don't know if I want to go through all that schooling again, I'm sure. So let's look back at you as a young lad, say, like what was your first job?
Oh, my first job was a paper route.
Nice. Okay, so that's I've seen a common thread here. A couple people have had the paper routes.
Yeah, but it's easy to get a job. And I remember you had to do on your bicycle. Mom didn't drive you around because there was no second car in the family. And the first day I had my paper route, had the carrier on there and the paper stacked up high, and it was a thunderstorm and a squall. And
this was your first
day out there,
okay,
and you're trying to figure out what addresses get what paper.
Oh my goodness! And
you put the bike up on its kickstand. You run inside to give the paper on the doorstep. You come back, and your bike fell over. Oh crap! So pick your bike up, and on you go again. Of course, drenched, soaking wet.
How old were you at this?
Oh, probably 11.
Okay.
So you're 2 hours of work, and you probably get about 75 cents.
Okay.
And you had to go back later on at the end of the month and collect from the people for delivering the papers. It was a hard job.
Very hard. Yeah, it's definitely the labor part of it. Did you learn any new swear words along the way?
I wasn't into swear words yet.
That's good.
That came later on.
So as a young person, you're 11 years old. That's a big responsibility. I think the paper route, it does teach you that. Looking back, we can say that, but at the time, you're getting paid nothing. I spoke with another guest here, Ryan, and Ryan Baker, that you know, and I think we worked for coupons, and so it wasn't worth the money but it was a good learning experience, because as a young person, you don't get much opportunity for jobs, right? So the paper route was the first one. So once you sort of had the paper route, what was your next choice of job?
Oh, picking raspberries. That was a fun one.
Okay. Where were you? Where were you born?
Chilliwack.
Okay, so we're filming in Chilliwack. This is being produced in Chilliwack. You've been here. This is Chilliwack is your hometown.
Yeah. Born here in 54.
Wow. Okay. So the history of Chilliwack, that'll be another podcast that I'll have you on.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I bet
Yeah.
you can see some change.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So picking berries makes sense. We're in the capital of blueberries, raspberries. This is farm country out here. So that was good. That's a very manual labor job. Very intense.
Well, as you asked me about jobs, is a common thread that comes through. But the key thing, both with the paper route and the picking berries, is the amount of money you made depending on how quickly you worked. So it was all piecework.
Okay.
So if you want to take your time delivering the paper, you could do that all day long. You get the same amount of money, or you can do it an hour and a half, same amount of money. So the motivation is get your butt in gear and let's get this done. Picking berries, you get paid by the pound.
Okay.
You know, if you want to pick slowly, that's okay. You want to pick fast, that's okay. And then, of course, everyone's out there as a group, usually as friends going, so everyone's comparing, well, how many flats did you get today? Or how many flats did you get today?
Yes.
Oh, gee, you're way quicker than me. I'm going to try a little harder tomorrow.
Little competition.
So the competition started then. So it wasn't just squash now, it's the competition back then. I got to be just a little quicker. Come on. And it's amazing how you can just, by focusing a little bit, you can increase your income significantly. So that was a really good learning thing.
Absolutely. And how old was that? You're kind of the same
probably
age?
12.
12. Okay.
And I learned I didn't like to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and pick berries in the rain.
Yeah. But you committed to it. You went through this was during
one summer.
One summer.
That was no more.
Okay. So now that you learn the realities of hard labor in life,
Yeah.
what was your next sort of career? You've had a few little odds.
My
jobs.
dad was, I had some home jobs. My parents always got me to do something for the allowance. You had to do chores. So the typical thing was they said on Tuesday morning, you need to come and polish all the shoes. So back then we didn't really have sneakers or runners. It was all leather shoes.
Okay.
So I remember do you remember the Japanese oranges would come in a little wooden box?
Yeah.
So in that wooden box, you'd have your different shoe creams, your black and your brown, and then you have a black brush, and then you have a brown brush, and then it had an old worn out wool sock, which you would polish things with. So then you spread the newspaper out because you don't want to get the shoe polish on the concrete over it. And so you polish those shoes, and just like you see on TV, like shoe shine buffer. So that's what you do. Didn't take very long, but I got a nickel for that, and that was pretty good.
Okay.
I knew what I was going to save for it. So that was actually probably my first job.
Okay. That was your getting income. What were you saving for?
I wanted to buy a book, hardcover book, Robinson Crusoe.
Oh, wow.
I saw that somewhere. Thought, oh, I'd love to have a hardcover book. I never had a hardcover book.
Wow. That's so cool.
So when I got about half, a nickel a week, it could take a long time to pay for the book. It was $2.80.
Okay.
My folks finally chipped in the other half of the book.
Okay.
Here you go, son. There's your book.
Oh my goodness. Well, you bring that mic just close to you there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You can be animated as much as you have to be.
Right.
So this is kind of your high. Would you be in high school at this point? You've had a few little odd jobs.
That would be grade or age 7, 8 in there.
My goodness. So what was the next one after the shoe shine? You're busy. You're a busy kid.
Well, we had a fireplace, and you would heat the house with firewood because that was cheaper than doing oil.
Okay.
And so my dad got some firewood. I said I wanted some money. He said, "There's the axe.
Nice.
5 cents a piece."
My kind of dad.
So I come home from school. Well, I want some money. Well, go split some firewood. Worked just fine.
That's awesome. That's a good dad.
As a little boy, you work out your energy. And so I started to learn the theme I was going to bring up earlier was the piecework thing. So be it picking berries or delivering newspapers or splitting firewood, it's how hard do you want to work?
Yeah. No, it's worth it. Well, I mean, I'm sure how many, when it comes to the wood, the more wood you chopped, obviously, the more you get. Is that your dad allowed you to do that, or did he cap you? No, you only get.
There's a cap. Go ahead. There's a whole ton of wood. Keep splitting.
Nice. No, it's smart. So what was your next one after this? Wow, you're busy.
Oh. Well,
We'll get to school eventually and your decision for become the dentist, but there's lots going on here.
I really wanted to sail. I saw a picture somewhere of this blue boat and the white sail on the water, and we didn't have any money in our family. We couldn't afford them. I really wanted to sail. And so my dad finally says, "Okay, here's the deal. I'll give you a job." My dad was an electrician. You work and you pay for 1/3 of the boat, and we'll pay for the other 2/3. And because I wanted this so badly, I started working with my dad as an electrician. Simple things, just putting on the cover plates for switches and plugs and stuff like that.
What kind of sailboat are we talking? Like the full, like 3 people, or a racing boat, or was
Oh,
it?
no, it's just a little dinghy, 13 feet.
Okay.
Back then it cost $1,000. So I had to earn about $300 to get this boat. So I worked all summer long and finally got the boat, but it was
Nice.
pretty cool. But there's my motivation. You get up and work. And my dad said to me at first, "You're too young. You can't work." I said, "No, I want to work." He said, "No, you won't be any good." Well, he was playing me.
Yeah.
So, I had a really good dad,
Listen, Oly, I already know he's a great dad. I just with the fact of the firewood, he's my kind of, yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Reverse psychology there, it sounds like. So.
Yep.
So yeah, you have your boat now. So you're as a young person, you kind of set goals. You kind of had your goals set. You're motivated towards that. You had some items, especially as a kid, like getting a boat. How old were you with the boat?
13.
Like that. Wow, that's a life-changing moment when now you can get on water. As a kid,
The life-changing moment was to understand that I can control my future.
Oh, okay.
That's what was of value. The boat was just one part of that. But now I know that I can control my income, splitting wood, picking berries, working doing the paper, depending how fast or slow I want to go, right? So now all of a sudden, when you're a young child, you have little control. But now I'm realizing, I can control my destiny. So if I can do that, what else can I do?
Wow.
So that was interesting.
So did you have that epiphany kind of as a young person? Like, hey, this is something's clicking here? Maybe not, or what?
Again, my mom and dad.
Okay.
And I'd like to tell you one story, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back. Yes, hold that really quick.
Okay.
So my question is, as a young person, did you realize you have the future, you kind of have that future control a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. So to parents.
But not haven't mastered that idea of concept.
Okay, but still, it's starting to click here. Okay.
So one of the key things is that I really wanted to ski.
Okay.
Didn't have any money. Couldn't afford it. Not in the books. Earlier when I was 6, I wanted to play piano. My mom was a piano teacher. She finally says, "All right, son, you can take piano lessons. But when you start, you're not going to quit. You're going to go to grade 8 piano. So are you sure you want to start?" Not knowing anything. "Oh, yes, I want to start." "Fine, but remember what I said." So I had to practice every single day except for Sundays, whether I wanted to or not. And there was some resistance, which should be expected. And I got a couple of spankings, and it became a fight.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, my mom and dad said, "Listen, son, here's the deal with the skiing. If you promise to practice pen an hour a day with no complaining, you have at least a grade or a B average in school, then we will take you out of school for 1 week and take you skiing." Now, because I really wanted to ski, I learned to play piano. And I'm not a bright kid academically, but I knew I had to work at it. So I already knew how to work from the papers, from doing raspberries. So I just suck it up and try a little harder. And so my marks went from a C+ average to B as an A's. Brilliant. Because I wanted to ski. And that was life-changing. I also played classical piano at grade 7 level, and which also a great skill set. So, look at what my parents have done.
I love it.
Not by being nice.
No.
But they sort of set this up where, "Okay, son, let's see what you're made of. You really want to ski? Prove it."
Awesome.
So that's probably one of the best lessons I've learned in my life.
1,000,000%. That's awesome. I didn't know that. But that really sets a tone. Because I like what you said. I became a classical pianist because I wanted to ski. Like that to me is just that's the quote. That's the thumbnail right there. So I mean, what does that even mean? But that's fantastic. I love it. So you're, as a young person, obviously you're working. You're doing. You've got some motivation. You've got some discipline. So let's look at when you're in school. So you're in high school. Just before you decided to become a dentist, because that's quite a commitment. That's like that's not just 4 years. You've got, how many more years of school do you have for dentistry?
7 to 8.
So 7 to 8. That's something. Was as a young person, how did that get into your head to then make the decision? I'm going to UBC. I'm doing this.
That is a really good question. So we lived on this little dead end street, and the neighbor across the street was a dentist, and he was the nicest guy. He had a family of 5 kids We couldn't afford to go on vacation. We just didn't do vacation. We had no money. With his family of 5 kids, he invited me along in different activities with his family. His car's full, but he invited the neighbor kid who couldn't do anything because of finances. Every Wednesday he would take off and he would take his family swimming at the Harrison Hot Springs pool. And he would invite me along, which I was very grateful for. And I would always get car sick. And on the way back, I'd always have to stop. I'd get out, throw up, get back in the car, and drive home.
Okay.
But he kept on doing that. Just the nicest guy. He just had a heart and caring.
Yeah.
And I remember one day he had said something to me without thinking, which is maybe a little bit abrupt. And the next day he walked over to my house, and I couldn't have been more than 12 or 13. And he came to me and he apologized. He said, Oly, I'm sorry I said this. That's not what I meant. So how many times would that happen where someone would be caring enough to walk across the street and do that? So this is a man I respected a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
So he was a model, I guess, and a mentor. And as I was growing up and it was time to think about that, my dad said, all right, son, let's see what you're good at. Let's take your report card out. He says, all right, you're good at this and this and this. This is what you like doing. So now, son, what do you want for a lifestyle? Because a job's got to give you something that you like to do, but you also have to be able to live at a certain level. What would you like? And I really wanted to have the option to be able to go on vacation. And so we came to this. I wanted to be an aeronautical engineer.
And sorry, what age were you this? High school?
Probably 14, 15.
Okay.
So you're in grade 10, grade 11.
But you're starting to,
You got to think this thing through because you're looking at electives.
Yeah.
So I was reading the newspaper, and it's around Christmas time, and there's an article from Boeing who laid off a whole bunch of aeronautical engineers. I said, oh, that's probably not a good job. And my dad said, son, why don't you look at food or health? Because people will always get sick and people always have to eat. That way you will have a job.
Brilliant.
And again, he comes from Germany where there often was no work. They were starving. So he said, well, let's take a look at our neighbor, Dr. Dave Vogt. And is that something you might like to do? He said, you're good with your hands. You're getting good marks in school. Maybe you'd like to do that. And I said, yeah. So a job that I like, things I can do, and a man who I respected and honored because he was an honorable, ethical man. So that's
unbelievable.
So
wow.
now I have a goal.
Yeah.
That's where I want to go.
Wow, that's great. Yeah. To have that mentor or have that in your life though. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Amazing. Yeah.
Just by chance, you're living in the right place. This person lives there. I mean, your worlds collide, and what an impact it had on you.
So many people don't have a direction, and they're guessing.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I know where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
It's like to work for that sailboat or to work for going skiing. Now I'm focused. So now,
nice. Yes.
Studying's not that much of a chore because I have a path.
Yeah.
And I have a goal.
Okay. So you set yourself up. So when you went to that first day at in university, got through school. I mean, your work ethic is incredible already. Were you like any moments of holy crap? Like, what am I doing?
Well,
any not regrets, but
yeah. Well, I went to Trinity Western for the first year, and the math and the calculus was hard. I had to work at that, and it comes down to my faith system as well. So I really felt like I had a calling direction. There was this not sort of came out of the hat. So I knew I was supposed to be there. Yeah. So I'm studying my calculus for the math exam, and I'm just struggling. And I'm working like long days, studying till 11 o'clock every night. And I know I have to get straight A's now or I'm not getting into dentistry. And I feel I've got my calling.
Straight A's, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I put my head down on my desk and I says, Lord, I don't know where you want me to be, if you want me here at all, but you're going to have to show me something because I don't get this. Closed the book, went to bed. Nothing else I can do. Wrote the exam. A couple of days later, prof's walking down the aisle, says, hey, Oly, congratulations. You got the third best mark in the class. Oh, so I've gone from, I don't understand this. Oh, maybe there's more to this than I think. And so now you want to see a goal that's been enhanced? I'm on this.
Oh, for sure.
I am on this. You know, whether you believe in that there is a greater power or not, that's up to each individual one. But,
hey,
but at that point,
something guided you.
there's something there.
So what was that feeling like?
Oh, that was amazingly powerful. Like, I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And there's a purpose in my life.
Yes. I got goosebumps there, Oly. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I had a moment. I remember this is just small things, but you have those in your education. I remember I was in grade 11 physics or grade 12 physics, and the teacher put a question up on the board, and I was like, I was the kind of the B+ guy, and he said, okay, first one to solve it, whatever. I'm just looking at it. It's about circuits.
Yeah.
And I'm just okay, and then I put up my hand. I was looking at a board.
Yep,
For those
yep,
who are
yep.
listening, I'm looking at the overhead projector actually.
Yeah.
And I followed the circuits from parallel series. Okay. Yes, Atlee. 1 ohm. Yep, you got it. And I just looked around because I was competing against the 100%ers, right? And I just looked like I got them.
Oh.
It was just a moment in my schooling career, but it was in physics. And so from there, I was like, hey, sciences. So I had that kind of moment, but just a little. You kind of doubt yourself, but once you have that sort of realization or that proof,
Isn't that powerful?
it's amazing. I mean, it carried me. It was one moment. I can remember I was sitting in the desk. I'm sure when the professor walked around and said, "Congratulations to you," you probably know everything about that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your what year was that in? That was first, second, maybe? Or?
Oh, that's going to, first year university, so that'd be 73, 72, 73.
But having that in your first year, though, that moment, that's got to set you off like for let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So once you're on that path, what were some things that you can kind of take away from that journey in school as you're getting closer to graduation and going, okay, this is now going to be my profession? Or what was that experience like as you're getting closer to that graduation? Because you had your goal in mind.
Yeah.
Dentistry.
Yeah. Well, the biggest fear was not being able to get through. And to get into the faculty of dentistry is very difficult. And again, you have to have the straight A's, and that didn't always happen. And so, the days are very long. And in fact, my girlfriend, who ended my fiance, she was going to leave me because I didn't spend enough time with her.
Okay.
And because I was just busy studying, and her dad was wise enough to say, Doris, this man is busy with his schooling right now. It's not that he doesn't love you, but he's focused on that. So stick with him. I said, thank you to my future father-in-law. But to get in was very hard. So I'm thankful I got in. I got in 1 year early, which is most unusual. Again, coincidence? I don't know. And then in the faculty of dentistry, you know who Jimmy Pattison was. And they would measure the production at the end of the month, and 2 bottom people are fired, regardless of how many cars you sold. It's just the 2 bottom are gone. And they had the same idea in dental school.
Oh my goodness! No pressure.
So they're all straight A students, right? But the 2 worst out of the straight A students, you're gone.
Yeah.
So now you've spent 4 years busting your butt to try and get in, and you're going to be gone. And so then what ended up happening is the paranoia set in, and people will start stealing people's notes.
Ooh, okay.
So you had to guard your notes, because if you think you're going to be one at the bottom and you're dishonest, if you make the next person lose his notes, then you're not going to be the one who's going to be kicked out.
Ooh.
So that was like really
This
dirty,
is
brutal.
ruthless.
It was really ruthless. So people say often, schooling was cool. No, it was bitter.
Wow.
It was bitter.
It's like a reality television show, I think. Dentistry school.
So the
probably.
happiest thing was to be done.
Yeah. So graduation, what was that like? Did you have a place to go right after graduation, or what was that like? Well, let's just roll back a little bit. What was it like to complete that schooling journey? Because now you got life journey to happen, right? I'm sure there was some life moments within there, but what was the graduation moment like?
Well, I didn't go to my grad ceremony.
When you're already working.
No. I went to Greece.
Not a bad.
So here's what happened. We graduated or finished, great, super. And Mom says, son, you're going to be working really hard and you're not going to have much time off. I would recommend you maybe take a trip somewhere you want to go. And I thought, I got this massive student loan, and my mother's telling me to go borrow some more money because she didn't give me the trip.
Okay.
But we did that. My wife and I, we went for a month to Greece. Absolutely fabulous. Borrowed every penny.
Yeah.
And it was the right thing to do because we had a month where you could do that because later on, she's working, I'm working, you can't get away.
Yeah.
And it comes back to wise parents. I think we had to borrow $3,000.
Okay.
That was airfare, accommodation, food, and everything for a
For a
month.
month. It's pretty good.
Now, mind you, we're staying in some places we wouldn't stay nowadays.
Yeah.
There's one place you had to chase the chickens out so you could
Okay. Well,
get in
it's,
the bed.
it's character building moments. There you go.
Yeah. So then we actually moved to Prince George. We each found work up there.
Okay.
And that was really, really good. So now we're living in a community where we have not grown up because my wife, Doris, and I both grew up in Chilliwack. So you go to Prince George and people say, well, that's sort of the end of the world. Why are you going up there? If you're any good, you can get a job down here in the Fraser Valley.
Yeah. So what was that conversation like?
Oh, I've heard that quite often.
Okay.
And what's wrong with you? Why are you going up there? But that's where we wanted to go. Wanted to get away from home. So we went up there and I had a great job. And so did my wife. And we had lots of friends. And it was a wonderful community. So what ends up happening is when you move away from your family and your friends, you have to make new family and friends. If most people in the community are that way, they're very open.
Yeah.
We went to church there one day and we had 4 invitations. And it's not just going out to coffee. It's, come on over to my house. I got some lasagna.
Nice.
And it was not just once, 4 different times. And it's, hey, can you help with the youth group? Or can you do this? And right away, I've got this instant community and we loved it. So we thought we were going to be there 1 year and we stayed for 10 years.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Doris didn't want to leave.
So
really good.
So you were practicing dentist at that time?
Yeah.
Okay. So as far as being part of the community as the dentist, what was that like? What was that? How was that connection in your building sort of personal? I mean, I don't think you're just there fixing teeth. I think you're getting to know because it's a smaller community. Tell me about what that's like, starting your profession, becoming part of the community, knowing people now. How was that important to you, or what was that about?
The dental clinic was one of the biggest group dental clinics in North America, which is interesting.
Does that question make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to answer that in a couple of different
I'm learning
spots.
too how to.
So from the professional point of view, it is a very well-run clinic. We had 100 staff and 20 dentists. And dentists generally don't work together very well because everyone thinks they have the only right way for doing something and everybody else is wrong.
Okay.
All right. Okay. This comes with the territory.
Yeah.
But they had assigned a buddy dentist to me. So you were maybe the senior dentist and we were practicing 10 years. And said, I'm going to get you to meet with Oly on a weekly basis to see how things going, what's going well, what's not, And so that was a really good idea. So it's like a big brother. And I remember what he said to me is, Oly, 95% of what you're going to learn after you graduate. And I said underneath my breath, oh, no way. I've been to university for 7-8 years. I know quite a bit of stuff. And he was absolutely right. I really know nothing.
It must make you think, why the heck did we do the university? But yeah, keep going. Yeah, that's great.
It's just like, it's stage 1. Now we have enough data, so now you can actually learn things. And that was really wise words. And I remember back then I was thinking, well, probably when I'm practicing 5 to 10 years, I'll still be up with the new stuff and lots of experience. I know a lot. Mm-hmm. But after that, it's all downhill. And you look back on your life, and at 5 to 10 years, you didn't have a clue what you were doing. So it really is a lifelong learning thing. And you got to have your eyes and ears open. You always have to evaluate what you're doing. And in a lot of dentistry, it's a craft. So I'm working with these things.
Yeah.
I'm a craftsman.
Yeah.
Right? And I got to make things work. And you can only tell if you're successful or not if you can look at your work day 1 year, 5 years, 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road. And then I know what I did over here. It lasted this long.
Yeah.
That's good. But if I don't have that continuity with those patients and the work that I have done, I will never know if I'm any good at what I'm doing.
Wise words. Yeah.
So that was rather interesting because there's a lot of people out there who think, oh, I have the answer. This is the way it needs to be done. And they move somewhere else and never see what's happening with their work. It's like an engineer who builds bridges and never knows what happens to that bridge.
Yeah.
So that was a professional thing. And, you could walk down the hallway. One guy was good at oral surgery. I'd say, hey, Bill, I got this case here. What do I do with this? And he said, oh, I'll come over and help you. When are you doing that one? Okay. And so we come by and say, okay, we'll do this and this and this and this. And so you had that was the professional community. And that was
Yeah.
really, really good. And had I been in just a small office with one other dentist, I would never have learned that stuff.
I see. So but it sounds like you have to be really open to learning and just be like a sponge, because there's always something
Yeah.
changing and new. So, okay.
Yeah.
And you already kind of had that as a young person too, just that ability to seek,
Be observant.
be observant. Well said.
I'll tell you a really
Yeah,
short
please
story.
do. No.
So
You can go long
there
story.
has to be in biology medical lab, and there's a bunch of students sitting around, and the prof says, you have to learn to be observant. If you don't see what's going on, you'll never learn anything. So he had a beaker of urine. He says, I want you to take a look at this. He says, I want you to pass it around, look at the clarity, look at the color. Everyone pass it around. Okay, fine, beaker of urine. So the guy said, well, the other thing that we used to do a lot, you would taste it, because you could tell if it's sweet, diabetes or whatever. So he takes it and licks his fingers.
Okay.
Go ahead. And so people go, I don't think I want to do this.
Yeah.
But they do that. And then we came around. He said, well, here's something else you guys haven't noticed. I put this finger in.
Yes.
I licked the other one. Lesson learned, how to be observant.
Wow. That's the most incredible lesson I've ever heard. I don't know if that would fly these days, but
Just pay attention, right?
What? I mean, the minute, honestly, from that day on, you're paying attention, guaranteed. So while you're kind of in your you were, how long were you a dentist for then? You're 30 years,
42.
42.
Yeah.
What's just a side question? What was that like, seeing the technology advancement from when you started to that? Like, what was that like to?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just curious. Not so much career focused of what you did, but what was that like?
That was fascinating, because dentistry is really engineering in a human body. And the problem that we have are materials, expansion, contraction, compression, shear, tension, cyclical loading, all those things to try and make things work and fit. And none of the materials we have are anywhere close to being good. And everything is guaranteed to fail. And when it fails in different ways. And sometimes you have a catastrophe you can't fix, and sometimes you can't fix it. So you're always looking for something. What's better? There's got to be something better out there. And the difficulty that we have in the dental industry is that there are a bunch of vendors who wants to sell you things, and they'll sell you whatever they can. And your job is to figure out whether that's a bunch of hooey or it's actually something good. So how good do you want to be? And if you want to be good at what you're doing, you're looking for a better solution all the time. But along with that, then comes the risk that I'm going to incorporate a technology, a material, which is actually not good and is in fact worse. So at what point do you say, it's been tried long enough, now I'm going to use it on my patients? And that was a really difficult thing. And you sort of become jaded, because people really are just want to sell you something.
Yeah.
But then I have to use it on my patients. So how do you make that decision of what's good and what's not?
Yeah. How do you make that decision?
That decision comes from having seen your work for 40 years.
There you go. Nice.
And that's the problem. When you think you know what you're doing for 5 years, you really don't know anything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what, as I get older, I realize that too. There's just so much to learn.
Yeah.
There's so much to learn. That's fascinating. That's quite. So you're, as a profession, as a dentist, actually, let's take the time here, just looking back at your younger self. Any advice you'd give to yourself? And I want sort of what do you think you needed to hear back then, if anything? You're pretty focused. It sounds like you're on a mission, but anything you'd like to tell your younger self?
Yeah. I think the key thing is to be able to do the things that you don't like doing. And that discipline that creates for you will get you through so many things in life. So many times you hear nowadays parents put their kids into piano, guitar, and they say, well, let them do that as long as they want to. And if it's not a thing for them, then they'll go do something else. Well, you've just taught your child to be a quitter.
Yeah.
But if your parent says you're going to start piano, and if you start, you're going to go to whatever level they choose, they've also said, you're going to be times when you don't like it. It doesn't matter if you don't like it. And if you take that lesson and you apply that in your marriage, for example,
Yeah.
there are days my spouse doesn't like me and I don't like my spouse, but I have made the commitment that I'm going to love her.
Yes.
And those are two different things. And so what I've learned as a child to go past the things I don't like to get the end result is crucial. And that takes discipline. It's like when you play squash, you have those squash cards, which I'm still using, by the way.
Yeah. So just really quick,
yeah.
I gave Oly these cards to help you train in squash. And once again, squash the sport, not the vegetable. I say that on all the podcasts. But these just, they give you focus on the court there. Sorry, Oly, to interrupt. Just for people who don't know what that card is.
Yeah. Anyways, you learn to do it. It's not fun to do court sprints, but you know what you're going for.
Yeah.
It's only because you're disciplined that way
absolutely,
that you get to the level where you are.
Yeah. There's a purpose for the tedious, hard work you have to do.
So you
it's a
ask me
goal.
as a child or youth, what's important? Make sure you do things where you like it or not. Do the right thing.
So yes, 100%. Looking back though, you made a comment early on here, like, would you do it again? let's unpackage that a little bit, Oly.
Oh,
I mean, I think you're maybe because you're living such a great retirement right now, but you worked your butt off to get to here though, right? So what would you do different then? Or why wouldn't you?
To be good at what you do as a dentist, you must be so committed that you have to cut something. And there were times in my life where I didn't have the time I would have liked to have had for my family or my aging parents. And what ends up happening is that as your kids get older into the difficult teenage years is also the time when your aging parents require more time. And it's also a difficult time in your practice as you are trying to make that work because your practice gets busier and busier. And it's difficult to say no to things. So you've got these multiple time pressures on you. And that was one thing. And the other thing is people don't understand the complexity of dentistry and the amount of failures that you can have with procedures. And sometimes the expectations are so high you cannot please people. And one particular situation is where I did a lot of work on someone's front teeth. And he came in 6 months later, as mad as a hornet. He said, Dr. Reich said, you do horrible work. My fillings didn't hold up. It all broke off. Mm-hmm. I said, what were you doing? He said, well, I was opening this can of beer or this bottle of beer, and I just touched on the beer, and the beer cap bottle broke my front teeth off. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So, and he was fairly adamant that I was incompetent.
Yeah.
And you get different degrees of that. Or the one thing with dentistry is I hurt people twice. Once I will hurt them in the mouth, and once I hurt them in the wallet.
Yeah.
And so you tend to sense this animosity where people don't like you and you're taking advantage of me. And that's sometimes very difficult to build that trust. So what I really liked and valued was when I could build that trust over a generation or two, which would take that long. So people say, Doc, whatever you want, I'm fine with that. And the way I would look at that often is, if you were my sister, what would I recommend for you? And if you put the well-being of the individual first before your profitability as a business, you come out way ahead.
Okay.
Way ahead. But if you look at the dollar cents first, it doesn't work.
Yeah, plus it won't last very long either.
It won't last very long.
So that's interesting. So how did you it sounds like you really looked at your career, your profession as working with people more than getting the vacation time. Like it was both those relationships. How important was that? Like I know you just highlighted on it, but
crucial. The relationship to me was absolutely crucial. That's what gave me value in what I was doing. Nowadays, I see quite a few situations where people are going to work primarily for the money, and everything else comes second. There's a phrase I learned as a kid. It basically says, "Think a little more of others and a little less of me." So we live in this world where it's the me generation. Look after yourself, self-care, all those things, and I say, that's not the right way to do that. If you look at others first and their well-being, the rest falls into place.
100%.
Maybe you might not make as much money, but you can have a way better life. You're proud of what you do.
Yeah.
And people will be they'll respect you and you respect them.
Well, I mean, I think that's a legacy you want to live too, right? Your legacy. I've always thought about this too. I mean, you've left quite a legacy, and you still continue to leave your legacy with people you meet. Your legacy is to that person that you interact with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I think that's really, and if you can hold your head up high and have the integrity, and it's such a great feeling. And there's no money attached to it. Yes, we need money. We got to pay the bills, but I think as I get older, I realize that it's the human connection you have with people and how good you leave them. How good is that interaction? If it's a fantastic, positive interaction, wow, you're on cloud nine.
Yeah. Can you make the world a better place when you leave? That's really it,
Yeah.
right?
Or when you leave that, I find when I get my coffee at Tim Hortons and I see the person in the drive-thru, I say, "This is great." We always have a little. I don't know her name.
Yeah.
We don't know each other, but we just have an extra 10 seconds of, "Hey, how you doing? No, how you doing?" So it's quite a moment there. So, Oly, let's talk a little bit. What advice would you've are living an incredible life still with your retirement and whatnot. What would you look at advice for maybe someone in their high school starting out their career? Maybe they don't know what they want to do yet. What do you think you'd say? And take your time. You don't have to have an answer right off the bat though.
Do you mean helping them direct them?
Yeah, just what would you tell them knowing your lived experiences in life? What would be a good advice to tell somebody if they're about to jump into a profession or make a choice in school, or that young adult? What do you think?
Well, I think it's like what you just said, is that the difference that you make in the world, and on a day-to-day basis, there's a whole bunch of little small things. It's not one major event, but it's every interaction that you have along the way. Can you think a little more of others rather than yourself? Like, simple thing, open the door for someone else. Or am I treating my patients what's best for you, not what's best for me? And it doesn't matter if you're an electrician or if you're an HVAC person or if you're a travel agent. It's being able to be proud and hold your head up, as you said, in whatever you're doing. And because we can't all be engineers or lawyers or whatever, or wherever you are placed in life, do your best. Just do your best.
So yes, I agree. Question: now that you've retired, when you're doing your practice and in dentistry, were you, as you're getting closer to retirement, how were you planning for that? How are you mentally staying like you knew you had to exit it? Were you getting excited about it? What was that transition like to go from your career to now, I don't have to do this anymore? What was that emotion like? How did you plan for it? And how are you doing today with it?
Got any easy questions?
Yeah, I know you're doing fantastic with it.
Oh man!
But what was that? What was that transition like to go from everyday work? Because you do miss.
Yeah.
I'm sure you miss some of it sometimes.
Well, you're going to probably have to edit some of this, but I'll put it on the table for you anyway.
Okay.
So, I don't have a pension plan. I need to have an active business, which is keeping on increasing in profitability, or my practice has no value. And so as you reach the end of your career, you really can't slow down because your productivity goes down. There goes the value of the practice and your income. And so that's sort of private, okay? So,
yes, yeah.
but you sort of get the gist of the matter here. So as there comes a point when you know you need to sell your practice because I can no longer work full time. I need to slow down, so I'm going to sell it now. So then what you want to do is you maybe want to stay on, but you don't own the practice anymore. So now you're an employee of the practice. And that's difficult because now you're letting go of the little intricate details, which are absolutely crucial to be excellent at what you're doing. And so that transition was difficult. And probably if I were to edit that, I would say that I enjoy the excellence level that I could provide. I felt very good about that. Yeah. But with the transition of ownership, there's a transition in how things are done. And sometimes that goes over well and sometimes it doesn't.
I see.
So sometimes you're giving up control, and maybe it is just my problem. Maybe it isn't. But that was challenging to give up that control because I was always the guy who made all the decisions. Now someone else is doing that.
Interesting.
And so I worked probably another 7 years like that. And then I said, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And that's actually pretty normal.
Yeah. But 7 years is pretty good. That so as a dentist, so you kind of build your own company. Then it's your
Yeah,
basically a business. So then you're just gonna selling your
Well, you,
company
you sell the goodwill.
the goodwill. That's right.
Yeah.
And then to stay on there for 7 years, so for the transition. That's what that
Yeah.
was for. Okay.
Well, so the new dentist wants the old guy to stay on
Yes.
to continue with the name, but there comes a time when you have to say it's time to go.
Yes.
And you also spoke about technology. How do you deal with that technology? And as becoming 3D printers and different dental implants and CT scans and multiple images that you're doing, it becomes very complicated. And if you don't do that on a daily basis, then it's time to quit.
Yeah.
So there comes a point where you can no longer afford to spend the time and the training to do that. And then, it's time to go.
But what was that moment like? You knew, you know what? Was it something that was maybe coming on in weeks, or was
It was
like
coming on in years.
Okay.
So, I would have to say that you recognize that everyone has their prime, and there comes a time when you're no longer prime.
Yes.
Maybe you not seeing so well anymore. So I think I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
And so that now's the time. Everything comes to an end, like it or not. So if you can accept that and be reasonable, now it's the new phase in life. This the new season. So, for example, squash. I'm not getting better every year. I'm getting worse every year. And I have two choices. I can either quit, but I like squash too much. But then I have to be able to give up in my head that I'm going to win. I got these young guys coming up, and they're pushing hard.
Yeah.
And they want to beat the old guy, right? And sometimes I can win and sometimes I can't. But if I can accept the fact that my level will go down and I can give up my ego, I can still enjoy squash a lot. And I think dentistry is maybe the same thing. You have to draw a line, though. Now I'm not going to do that anymore. And it wasn't difficult when the time. I mean, I was 67 when I retired.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's always, I guess they always say there's pickleball, but I refuse. I agree with that sentiment. There does come a time with me playing the game as well as I get older, the body just doesn't react as fast. You have to be more conscious of your movements, injury prevention. And yeah, you're right. It's not, you're not getting better there's a time, you peak and you're kind of come down. I'm sort of in that right now in the last few years. I'm realizing that. So I'm better with my ego. I'm not there to, I'm just there to not get injured now, Oly. That's really how I play squash. But I know the younger guys in their 30s, they're counting points. And I'm like, yeah, I was there. I remember being that. I remember taking lessons and going off. Oly, so now you're in your retirement. Looking back, how's retirement going? Kind of like you've worked your butt off. That's a long time to be a dentist. Are you proud?
Yes, I am. I can look back and say I'm glad the way I worked, operated, and the standards that I stood for. So I have nothing to be ashamed of that way. Looking back, as I said before, we all make mistakes. Some things, boy, if I can play that over again, I do that differently. I do that differently. But that's the way life goes.
Yeah, it is.
You at that point, that was the best decision I could make with what I had available to that.
I think that's fair.
And then you have to stop beating yourself up. I mean, we do that as parents. Because, I wish I'd have done it well. At that time, that was the best decision for this child. Looking back, I would do it differently, but that's the way it is.
Yeah. I think too, when you're younger, making those decisions, and that work-life balance is such a delicate, because sometimes it's like, you know what, we need to get this done in order to get paid, in order to live, in order to have it's something I think as, your kids probably at the time were going, I wish we could do this for sure. But as they get older and with their kids and their responsibilities, I think there's a moment where they go, oh, I get it.
Yep.
I understand why that had to happen now, but it's tough in the moment because kids don't get that. It's like, well, what about me? Right? What about my time with you and stuff? It's like, yes, I will work my butt off. That's why I'm working to get time with you. But I mean, there is a balance. Sometimes family comes first and the money is, no, I'm sorry, I'm going here for sure. But we do make those life choices and we do the best we can, I think, with what we have.
Yeah.
So looking back, no, I don't want to look back here. Finish the question there. How's retirement going? Sorry, you didn't answer that.
No, I haven't got it yet. Better than I deserve.
How long have you been retired for?
It's been 3 years now.
Okay,
4
so
years, yeah.
take me to that day when you waved goodbye to the office door.
You know what? That was COVID.
Oh, so it was forced. So a little bit of no, obviously that
Boy,
was a terrible time.
That was
but
frightening.
yeah.
COVID started at the dental convention, March 6th.
That's right too.
And I was at that convention.
Oh my goodness, I remember this. Yeah.
And
This was in Vancouver, correct?
Yeah.
There was the conference. Yeah, that was the first.
Pacific Dental Conference. And we were paranoid. One of my colleagues, he lived in North Vancouver. He had a cold, didn't feel good. Went to bed, didn't wake up.
Oh my gosh.
And he was healthy. And that was COVID. And so we didn't know what this scary, is this a version of Ebola?
Yeah.
We don't know how it's transmitted. The death rates are weird. We don't understand what's happening. We can't treat it. People are just clotting up all over the place. The whole system shuts down.
Yeah.
We were paranoid, and the public didn't understand how serious this thing was. And so we knew it was respiratory related. And being a dentist, we're working in the mouth and the nose. And the professionals were most scared were the anesthesiologists, where they're dealing with airways. Well, we're right in that same airway. And it was, I remember when we were contacted, it was a day or two, it was a Tuesday after the convention. And we're told, shut your office down, get everyone out. And I remember the name of the last patient I saw on that day. And he was a friend I knew from Prince George. And we didn't know what was going to happen. And that was really, really frightening because we had the potential of this being a devastating pandemic throughout the world. And it was the unknown.
Yeah.
So you asked me what my retirement was like, I was scared for my life.
Wow. Well, so yeah, no, that's right too. I forgot about the dental convention down there.
Yeah.
Luckily we're out of the pandemic, but that was scary. That was definitely scary. I didn't realize, if you're working in the airwaves, I mean, that's a whole other fear, right? For us, just, civilians, I'll call ourselves, we just sort of bunkered in and just sort of stayed away from everybody. Yep. That's it. But when you're thinking,
when I'm using the drill in your mouth, it turns at 200,000 RPM.
Yeah.
And it creates an aerosol because it sprays air and water. So am I working in your mouth? Your germs are all over this entire basement.
Wow.
And then we have a central air vac. It just sucks up in the return, spreads it out the building, and blows these germs out in the other room over there and the other room over there. So can you imagine the germ content in that?
Oh my goodness.
And the issue with the COVID is you could be an asymptomatic carrier. So you have zero symptoms, but you're a carrier. And we don't know if you're a carrier or not. How do you deal with that?
Yeah. Well, you guys shut down the practice for, how would you even go back to dentistry at that point? There must have been people like, like severe dentist procedures needed to get done, but there's no way.
It was really limited.
Yeah.
And then we couldn't get surgical masks.
That's right too.
So what we had to do is you'd have your regular scrubs and you wear a disposable surgical gown. Mm-hmm. Then you'd have a surgical mask. There's different levels of masks. Then you have a second mask over top of that. Then you'd have a head covering. And then you'd wear a big shield, like from here down to here. And then we had to have a light to see. So we had a little headlamp, and it's creating all this heat inside.
Yeah.
You're double masked, and now you're working on this person. And everything you're wearing has to be taken off and thrown away or laundered. So just think of this little thing. I had one cup of coffee too many in the morning. Now I got to pee. But I'm wearing all this crap. And it sounds a little bit ridiculous, but
no, it's real.
But it's real. Yeah. And try and sit still now when you really have to pee.
Oh my goodness, Oly. That's incredible.
And you may want to edit that one as well. I don't know.
No, I'm leaving it all in. Is there? No, I thought this conversation was great. We're at the hour, so I mean, I would love to go into more dentistry with you eventually, but we can chat over a beer or something at the Miller there. But so we've come to the close of the podcast here. That's been an hour with you, Oly. Absolutely awesome. I had some goosebump moments. Very cool to hear. You have such a life story that it could be 3 or 4 hours, but I'm just keeping it to an hour for now. But we'll have you back one day, maybe on another topic. As I grow with this podcast, obviously talking careers, but there's so many cool things happening within careers, like with AI and how different professions are being affected by that. So I plan on having a few other people in. Colton was director of engineering. He's going to come in. I'm just curious to see
that'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I spoke with him last week, and I brought up a couple really good points about how AI is working with them and whatnot. But I'm just curious, like, hey, what are you doing and whatnot? Thanks again for having the chat with me. It's been an awesome hour.
Absolutely delightful. It really has. Thank you.
We'll see you next time on the OverArch podcast.
Thank you for listening to OverArch, the People Podcast.